Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go watch a movie with PJ. Lord, and he's always glad you came. You wanna be where you could see our troubles are all the same. You wanna go and watch a movie with PJ.
Well, happy Friday. How's everyone doing? It's another beautiful day in the middle of this quarantine, apparently. I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to the PJ Campbell Network, where we are doing a watch-along tonight of Brick. My name is PJ Campbell. For those who don't know, thank you for being here. I am the host of the show, and we're really happy to have you guys. This is a little bit of a different one tonight. Not that we normally do things, totally in a normal way here. Everything here is kind of by design anarchistic in a weird, nerdy, burn the world down sort of way for fun because quarantine has been crazy. But tonight we're doing the first episode of our Rian Johnson month where we're going to be talking about Brick. But more importantly, we are actually going to be donating everything that comes into our Streamlabs, which you guys can see the link for it in the comment section, to our friend Craig Gaynor. Craig Gaynor, if you guys are fans of the movie Trivia Schmodown, he was actually a brand new competitor this season. He came in, he's known as the Barbarian, and he lost his wife to cancer earlier in the week. And, things are already really, really hard, and we here are just absolutely gutted for him. He is someone that I've gotten very close with over the last few months, and my heart is very, very heavy, and I wanted to do something to help him. So tonight, if you guys donate to our Streamlabs, we are going to be donating everything that we get tonight to Craig and anything that he has going forward for expenses for his wife's funeral and anything else that he's got going on, because times are already hard enough as it is. He doesn't need to worry about that. So if you guys can and are willing, we would love if you could hit that Streamlab and go ahead and donate for us. And now I'm going to introduce you to one of my co-hosts. He is my right hand here at the network. His name is Evan Degraff. Hello, Evan. You are muted, Evan. There you go.
I'm definitely shitting bricks as we learn some news. But anyways, I'm definitely really excited. I hadn't seen this movie before, so I think I have that fresh perspective almost that the rest of you guys don't see. It's a different perspective. I'm really excited to see it, though, because who doesn't love Rian Johnson? So I'm ready to hop into things, but I'm going to make a couple announcements. Sorry to bug y'all, but we're going to get these out of the way, and then we're going to go dive deep into the rest of it. So Saturday, we have John Kaiser playing Jackbox Shippy with us on Family Game Night, the show that Chris Clark and I host and produce. I'm really excited because John Kaiser is probably one of the funniest people I know. And then moving on, Sunday, we're talking about on the PJ Campbell Show some of the best Disney park attractions. We have people from opinions from all around the place. I'm a Disney World guy, while DJ's a Disneyland, not DJ, PJ's a Disneyland kind of guy. So there's that. And then on Monday, we're doing a Simpsons watch along. You guys voted for it, so you guys got it. We're gonna be watching the Simpsons along with you guys. And then on Tuesday, Famous Last Words, the new episode with someone we're about to introduce. I think we're about to do anyways. Pat the Canadian, how you doing?
No. Bulls would gum it. They'd flash the dusty standards at the wide eyes and probably find some yegg to pin. Probably even the right one. But they trample the real tracks and scare the real players back into their holes. And if we're doing this, I want the whole story. No cops. Not for a bit. You're telling me a guy who can write dialogue like that isn't one of the greatest filmmakers in Hollywood today? PJ, I liked how you described us as anarchists, because right now we're talking about Rian Johnson, the biggest anarchist of Hollywood.
Apparently.
He's ready to burn.
Yes.
Yeah. Burn down the system. All right. We're taking it from the inside out. It's not talent. It's not creative, inspiration. It's not someone who did incredible work and then got his dues and then expressed himself in an artistic medium in which we're all just fans of. No, he's here to burn it all down. And that's what we're here to do, celebrate somebody with such a vision. Also, Evan, I'm excited to be on your show.
I know, I am too. Also, a quick note. We already have one Streamlab for tonight. Michael K donated $125. And his message was, "My heart goes out to Craig and his loved ones."
Wow. God damn, Mike. Thank you, Michael K. That's appreciate
incredible.
it. I know that they are going to as well. So thank you for that.
That's incredible. Thank you, Mike. Now, for someone I just saw in the comments, that was a quote from Brick. It's a little movie. We're going to watch it tonight. So,
We are?
yeah.
We're going to be watching
yourself.
Brick. But first, before we do that, we have a couple more people we got to introduce. Down from Australia, we have Jacob Blunden and Taylor Robinson. Hello.
Hello.
How are you
I'm
guys?
excited to be here.
That was too
really
synchronized.
I know that was
was a
really
little-
creepy, and I apologize to everyone
That
watching
was
for
the
what just
shining
happened.
twins in the hallway.
We haven't even been in quarantine over here, and we're just going crazy.
That's fair.
I'm really excited to start Rian Johnson month
Yep.
because when we had this discussion as maybe being a possibility, I think everyone saw me lose my mind just a little bit with how
Mhm.
freaking excited I was of
Just
the
a
idea of us all getting to watch Rian Johnson movies together and really get to talk about how awesome he is at filmmaking. Because you're right, he does come in and just burn down the conventional that you think you're going to get and gives you these really, really amazing, rich stories. And I'm super excited to kick it off.
Yeah,
Shout
I've
out.
seen. Yeah,
Real quick, the Bard saying, don't forget he wrote and directed some of the best episodes of Breaking Bad. We have not forgotten. Never
no, we
forget.
definitely
The
have.
best episodes of Breaking Bad.
I love Rian Johnson. I think his work is absolutely phenomenal, and he does this incredible way of completely subverting your expectations in a way that is original and unique. And I'm so excited to be able to do this month.
Yeah, I am too. And I know that there's one other person who's very excited, and that is our special guest live from New York. It's Maxwell Haddad.
What makes me special?
You're you. And we love having you.
Being fabulous.
As far as I'm concerned, everyone's a special guest tonight because we get to watch a fantastic movie. And yes, I would like to burn some shit down, but I'm all out of matches.
All right.
It's going really well. So for those who don't know, the watch-alongs kind of work like this. We are all paused at 0 seconds right now on whatever you have, Blu-ray, streaming. I believe right now it is on Shudder. So if you have a Shudder account and you don't own the film, but you have a Shudder account, you can watch with us. If not, you can rent it, iTunes, everywhere's pretty much got it. I looked into it. Unfortunately, it's not on like Netflix, but Shudder is at least a streaming service. So if you have it, you can watch it. What we're going to do is we are going to count down from 5. As soon as I say go, we are going to toss on Brick, and we are going to essentially do a commentary for the film where we kind of talk about our feelings and just enjoy it. And again, I'm going to toss that Streamlabs link in. If you guys want to donate to it, again, it's going for a good cause right now. We are going to donate everything we make tonight to Craig and his wife. So we are going to go ahead and start the movie. Everyone, I'm going to do the countdown from 5 to 1. As soon as I say go, we'll hit it. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Point of clarification, he did not write those episodes of Breaking Bad. He only directed them.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, on the same kind of plane that Taylor was talking about, when this idea kind of got floated around, it was kind of like a fun idea to bring up. But the more we thought about it, the more it made a lot of sense. Just, I have such a different relationship with every single one of these movies. Brick I've only seen once, and it was my freshman year of film school. And I was like, this is working on a different plane than I know how to understand. There's such a confidence here in the writing and the filmmaking that, like, I don't get yet, but I know it's good.
See, the first time I saw this, I didn't really love it, but it's only been subsequent viewings because I've seen it about 3 or 4 times now, and that's what's made me really fall in love with it.
It's like an ogre. It has layers.
Real quick, kind of breaking news that I just got sent. Joey Pants got hit by a car, and he's currently in the hospital.
Oh, no.
So thoughts to
him.
Joey Pants,
Yeah.
because Joey Panatello is one of my favorite. I totally butchered his name, by the way, because it's very Italian. I can't say it
That's
right, but
The thought that counts.
Pantaleano.
thank you. Yeah, but I call him Joey Pants. Thank you, Josh McCouga. And it's that's really sad. I hope he gets better, man.
Yeah,
The,
thoughts to Joey.
the tone of the film is immediately set by Nathan Johnson's score, who is Ryan's cousin.
Yeah.
It's such a bold, brilliant, unique score. He uses all types of instruments and non-instrument instruments that you just don't hear in film scores so much. Yeah. I think he used like glasses filled with water and all sorts of fun stuff.
The shot of the hand in the water with like the blue bracelets.
It's iconic.
Well, and that's what Rian Johnson, on top of being this very esoteric, like kind of thematic filmmaker who's about big ideas, is really good with iconography. With like, and that's who you want to do a Star Wars movie, and we'll wait till that episode. But like, he's good at just like surmising an idea in a visual. And this whole film, on top of its dense dialogue, it just like every pose that Joseph Gordon-Levitt makes as he looks like Spike from Cowboy Bebop, as like every character who like is kind of a stereotype fits a mold based on just how they look. Mm-hmm. And he's just really good at like making sure the visual language fits with the kind of neo-noir vibe he's going for. It's so smart, and you can tell that this was a script he had for 10 years before he could finally get it made.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up.
The use of language is just remarkable.
Okay, I don't even know why, but this is giving me Old Boy vibes. It could just be the telephone booth and how they're working with it.
Which Old Boy?
The 2006 movie.
I was going to say, as long as it's that Old Boy, we're good.
the
other
OG.
one were we thinking of?
There's a Spike Lee remake.
Yeah, with Josh Brolin.
It's not good.
It's one of the few films Spike has made that didn't work, but
yeah.
Well, that movie felt like he was a gun for hire, to be honest.
Yeah,
yeah. And it's Rian Johnson has a lot of visual tics, but he lets a shot sit for a long time before a character moves, and then the camera will move with them in a very specific way. And you as a director have to plan that out to know that they're going to move and we're going to have to like jib over with them. So he but lets the characters and the actors like command the scene with the dialogue, and then we'll supply it with visual kind of,
right.
Visual. He's just such a smart filmmaker. And already I'm like,
even this, which was his first film, and they made for less than $500,000, he was in total control of his vision.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that doesn't always happen. Like, you can go back and look at a lot of low budget first films and you can see the intention and you can see them missing some things, but he doesn't really miss here. And
this is shot on classic like digital like cameras. Like, it's not visually breaking grounds, but like, it's so well.
The genius about this dialogue is incorporating, you said it before, film noir and old school 40s and 50s kind of movies and making them into a high school setting. Like, it's just, and changing the dialogue into a high school setting, like who's she been eating with? You give him my locker number. Like, that sort of stuff is just absolutely incredible.
It totally is. And it really goes to show, because I know that he had been reading like very specific mystery novels, the Dashiell Hammett novels, and that's what was his influence on this, and it shows throughout.
Just to what you said, Pat, it was shot on 35.
I just looked it up. I am a fool. It still looks great.
And it's funny because this it premiered in 2005 at Sundance, but it took almost a year and a half later for it to come to theaters. And if I'm not mistaken, in the intervening time, Veronica Mars hit the air, which was also another high school film noir. So that they were around starting right at the same time was kind of coincidental. Very different intentions, but similarly thematic.
I've always told people that like Veronica Mars that haven't seen Brick, I'm like, it's kind of the Veronica Mars movie before Veronica Mars existed. Like, very similar styles and tones. Again, different intentions, but there's definitely some influence on it in a good way. So definitely worth checking out. Or if you haven't seen Veronica Mars, it's also worth checking out.
It's just
it's on Hulu right now.
Yeah, this film is very smart at like attributing noir iconography to high school. Of the jock is the bouncer at like some club that we need to interrogate, or like the cheerleader is the floozy at like a different like strip club, and like he is a dork and a loner who's the detective in this story that comes in, which makes him Rian Johnson such a good fit for stories like Knives Out, because playing with archetypes is his thing. I said floozy, and I stand by it.
Yeah,
We also got another donation from Suge Knight
Suge Knight.
323.
Yeah, Suge Knight
Suge Knight,
323.
He donated $10, or they didn't know that they donated $10 here to support Craig at the time. I appreciate you guys doing this for him. I will admit I've never seen Brick. You guys are awesome. I will be here for the watch along for The Last Jedi. Props to you guys. We appreciate it, man. That's
Thank you,
awesome.
Suge. That's amazing.
Really good time.
And here we have the radiant Megan Good.
Yep.
I love the score in this scene so much.
Yeah.
This score is excellent.
It's so playful.
Mhm.
It is. I think it really highlights their relationship specifically, especially in that scene where it is very playful, even though the dialogue has more of a serious tone, but it's still very like familiar.
Yeah.
I know it's a cliche, but the score really is its own character in this movie.
Max.
Well, and rightfully
love,
so with this. I mean, that's the thing about a lot of murder mysteries and film noir, just kind of in general, is I always think the scores highlight what you're going for. And in general, that's what a good film score should do anyway. But specifically with mystery films, I love the scores because they really do bring out either the darkest darks or the lightest lights in the situations.
It also just sets the mood of we're in high school, but this is serious. I'm like, it's playful. We're gonna like in this like little sound we're doing now. It's like this is fun. Like he's investigating, but we started with a dead body. He's trying to figure out what's going on, and we're in high school, which is already a weird combination of like elements that shouldn't fit together. Like a murder mystery detective thriller in high school, and the score underlays that perfectly of being playful, being fun, but still having that neo-noir kind of like undertone to it that, oh, this is real. This is like things going on, characters living in this world that are dealing with this.
I like that the jacket he wears is sort of his version of the classic detective trench coat.
Yeah.
You'd see like Sam Spade wearing, or Humphrey Bogart and Maltese Falcon, or the big sleeve.
Well, and his glasses are so
movie.
tiny. Go ahead.
It was
Evan.
obvious in this movie that Joseph Gordon-Levitt was practicing social distancing by how long his hair was.
Ouch.
Wow, Evan.
But no, he's very much styled after Spike from Cowboy Bebop, and in all of Rian Johnson's films, he has this element of anime that, especially when we get to Last Jedi, that film is an anime film of live action like standards, and
yeah.
Is
Rian Johnson a big weep? Is that what we're getting at? Is Rian Johnson a big weep?
Evan, you small child. How dare you insult our Lord and Savior, Rian Johnson?
No, being a weep's a good thing. I'm a weep sometimes.
Yeah, no. But what he pulls from anime, I think, is very indicative of, all of his films, of just characters that really need no explanation, just based on how they look. Of like, oh, I get who you are based on the size of your hair and the length of your jacket. He's also like the prototypical like dreamboat for like what any aspiring filmmaker wants to be, of like had a great script, made it with like the most tight budget. It was a hit. Then he got like the next thing, and then the next thing, then a Star Wars movie of like, he just got to do passion project, franchise that was a passion project, and then passion project.
I just love how he's always just on the outskirts of everything. Like almost every detective you see in everything, just kind of minding his own business. Even in the middle of a party like this, he's just kind of off in the corner.
He's kind of like John Wick of like, I don't want to get back into this world, but it's bringing me back, and this world is high school.
This party might as well be a jazz club with smoke filling the shadows and floozies in the corner.
Right.
This was also like,
songstress.
It is amazing. Like, this cast is actually really stacked with 2000s actors who would go on to do a lot of stuff in the 2000s.
Oh,
like, it's stacked.
Well, I mean, not even just 2000s actors. We'll get to it when we see the VP of the film. Like, the vice principal is a major actor and one of the like major noir action actors of all time.
But it was also like the coming out for Joseph Gordon-Levitt for like serious acting roles, and like it really was him graduating to the next step of adult acting.
Well, especially
yet
coming
it's
off
still-
Third Rock from the Sun, because
Well,
that, you know,
He sort of had a run right before this with Latter Days and Mysterious Skin, both of which were very bold, arguably more provocative than this movie, where he's really flexing his chops, taking risks. I think
right.
separating himself from Angels in the Outfield and 10 Things I Hate About You, both of which I like. But there comes a time when you have to decide if you want to keep doing those movies or, you know, branch off into something else. And I think of a lot of the 90s kids actors, he's had one of the most interesting and diverse careers.
He has.
And he never really missed a step. He never had any problems.
And he's willing to slow down. Like when he's like, I'm not creatively engaged in many things. Let me do hit record, have that fun with like my whole company and all that. And just, I'll come to a film when I feel like I have something to contribute. But
You
like
can tell
something,
he has a lot of fun with hit record. Like that is definitely a side passion thing for him that he puts a lot of energy into.
That dress is so striking she's wearing, and the flower in her hair.
But again, that's like noir elements. Like he's taken these huge. That's such a noir element dress that would be iconic in something like a 40s or 50s classic noir film.
But it also kind of fits in like this high school aesthetic of like this white girl is wearing this like Chinese dress that.
It seems to be a costume party. Coffee
and it's
pie,
like you would choose just that as a costume. Like there's like a slight sense of insensitivity to it that like makes sense for high school because you're like, well, I like Chinese fashion. You're like, but do you understand the cultural importance of you wearing that? Maybe.
Just every decision, the candles on the floor, it's so striking.
Yeah.
In this movie, I think the cinematography goes such a long way, and it was made on like such a limited budget, and yet it looks nicer than some of the big budget films that Hollywood makes sometimes. Like Ryan's always had a great.
This came out right when I was in the middle of film school, and it was a major inspiration to a lot of us. I kept going back and seeing it just to study how he was able to achieve what he did so cheaply. And I think it helps he shot in his hometown and he shot at the high school he went to, so he had some, you know, connections and people that probably let him do things for less money than it would have cost otherwise. But anyone can do that. You can go and ask for favors when you're trying to get
This is very
started.
much of like, what kind of houses do my friends have that I can like sneak into and make movies in?
Yeah.
It's
but I mean that's just being smart with your resources and your money. Like if anyone can do that if they actually try to use their resources to their best ability, which I think he's very, very good at.
But it just also go ahead, Jacob.
No, I just re-listening to these scores, and I think what I'm going to do rewatching these movies is really remind me of how much I would have loved Nathan Johnson to actually have done Last Jedi. Like, just to have actually heard his take on Last Jedi. I get why he couldn't, but this score is so good.
There was this other guy. Don't know if you heard about him. He's pretty talented.
I know.
Do we feel that Coffee and Pie Oh My is a Twin Peaks homage?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a very, very specific Twin Peaks.
I love how the sound of the straw is part of the score in and of itself.
Yeah. The Bard says Ryan does love to reuse actors, so it's possible. He really does use he has his good luck charms.
I would be unhappy if Joseph Gordon-Levitt's not in Knives Out the second.
Wait, but who's this guy? Because he's in all of his films.
This is Noah Segan. It's like his childhood best friend.
Yeah. And he's like a huge part of Looper.
Yeah, aka Kid Blue on I believe that's his social media handle. He's in a pretty big part of Knives Out also.
Yes, he is.
He's so good in Knives Out. Oh my god.
Yeah, his like enthusiasm is so charming and infectious. He's like, I'm just happy to watch it unfold.
He's the good, and this is what makes Rian Johnson such a good director. Is like I'm not going to give my friend the leading role. He's not the best actor, but he'll be fun in this, like as the enthusiastic detective.
He always finds the right part for him in the right way.
Yeah.
Like he writes it very specifically for him, and it works every time.
Well, and that's something else that I really appreciate that Rian Johnson does versus some other filmmakers you can look at where, yes, he wants his friends and his Lucky Charms, but he finds the right ways to use them instead of just sticking them into maybe whatever role they want.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a brilliant thing to be able to do.
I mean,
he makes sure it serves the movie.
He makes his friends look good.
I would also say that Kevin Smith has gone a long way in doing something very similar because that would he put Jason Mewes in a role that didn't require a ton at the time, and Jason's become a much better actor since Clerks. But I mean, he even took himself out of the running to be Randall because Kevin realized I can't act. Like it's easy to put yourself in the middle of something, but then you could also tank your film in the process.
Well, and it's what Kevin and Rian Johnson share of, and Ryan a little bit more because he's worked in the big studio kind of system, is that at the end of the day, you're making a movie. Mm-hmm. And so you allocate resources, and one of the resources you have is we're making a fucking movie. This is supposed to be fun. My friends, come in here, enjoy this. And like all of his interviews he's given of just, I follow my gut for what feels like the best. And, I bring my friends in to that. He isn't one of those kind of like Brett Ratner of like, oh yes, no, we thought about the script. And he talks about the technicalities, but in a way that makes it feel so much more organic that a lot of other directors just talked about kind of like the studio system and all like these other things. Like Rian Johnson really seems to know just kind of a movie is a movie regardless of the size. If it's a big studio Star Wars movie, that's you get more resources. Or if it's a brick size kind of high school like neo-noir, it's less resources, but it's the same concept. And he's really good at like doing.
This is the only time I want to mention any of the other Star Wars films, but he's the only director so far to bring a Star Wars film in on time and on budget.
Yeah,
out of the 5, he's the only one to do it. So, like, there's a reason for that. He is good at managing his time and money.
In that last scene, it was Emily the Raven, who I think booked Lost like right after she shot this.
Yep.
And then went on to have quite a good career.
Talk about a film you'd be excited just to be like waiting to come out of. We shot this like weird little like thriller that I can't wait for you to see.
It probably became a pretty good calling card for a lot of these actors.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, this is definitely one that you put on a resume and use in a sizzle reel, like your acting reel. This is 100% one you use.
Yeah.
And just, again, Rian Johnson's the guy to be like, you were in Brick. I'm 3 movies down. I did a Star Wars movie. Do you want to be in the Knives Out sequel? Like, I can totally see him being like, my friend, let me help you. Yeah. Come in here. So this is all So this is pre her death. So
it said 2 days earlier. There was a flashcard that said 2 days previous.
That's right.
Just a fun way to phrase it. It's normally 2 days earlier, but 2 days previous has a nice like literary bent to it.
Mm-hmm. Again, to the origins of this being a little bit of a pulp novel.
Absolutely.
It's funny because I haven't seen Brothers Bloom, and I'm really excited to. Looper.
Talk about a good score too, man.
Yeah.
And Mark Ruffalo and the hats they wear. Oof.
Mark Ruffalo, be my husband. But like Looper is pretty straight laced with this dialogue. Like it's much more trying to fit into that mold of like Back to the Future / like Terminator like adventure films. So it's not trying to be too clever with this dialogue, but it's still great. Whereas like a film like this or even Last Jedi has like really great turns of phrases that like, ooh, that just sounded good the way you said that. Like previous 2 or like what was it? Like previous 2 days?
2 days previous. Yeah, it's hyper stylized dialogue which fits the tone and genre, which wouldn't necessarily fit in another type of film. Like if it was a teen rom-com and they were talking like this, it wouldn't work. But because of the noir trappings, the way it's shot, the tone, the score sets, the dialogue fits naturally into this very specific world he built.
This scene is so heartbreaking in the right way.
Who is this actress?
She's Emily de Raven. She did Lost after this. She played Claire. And then she was on Once Upon a Time also.
She's really good.
She is good. And she has a pretty thick Australian accent that I believe she's dropped here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, man,
She's
I just
Victorian.
this whole sequence, because again, it also really kind of lays out Gordon Levitt's character, because his whole thing is how badly he wants to protect her, and all the same, like she's like, no, you can't protect me. I'm leaving. Like, let go of me. Do whatever you have to do and forget about me. And again, it really plays into what you see in these noir films. That's exactly how this stuff plays in all the right ways.
Well, and oh, sorry. Go ahead, Max.
No, finish your thought.
I was just going to say, of just like these kind of protagonists that you see in those neo-noirs, of like, what is the thing that chips at their vulnerability? Like, when does it become personal for them? A lot of the times it's them just seeing the case and coming in being like, I know the answers. This, it starts with him seeing her dead. You get some preface of like everyone he knows, and then this scene of, we see the emotional attachment that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is so cool around everybody else. So it just immediately sets the emotional stakes of, this guy is cool, calm, and collected, and has an emotional stake in this, which means he will probably die to like figure out who killed him.
Go to the ends of the earth.
Yeah.
I was going to say, before Star Wars, Rian Johnson used to have his own like fan message board that he was pretty engaged on too, that I used to post on and read about. Like when he was making Looper and Brothers Bloom, he would update with like behind the scenes photos and all this sorts of cool stuff. I miss those days.
I remember following like movie sites talking about this movie called Looper coming out, and people like really excited about it because I didn't know who he was. I didn't see his films. And then the trailer came out and like, oh, that looks interesting. And then I saw it twice opening weekend. And we'll get to Looper. That's a movie that is so up my alley. But Rian Johnson immediately became a voice that when I found out he was doing Star Wars, I literally freaked out in a way that I shouldn't, because I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan.
It's probably... Go ahead.
No, so like when I'd known about Looper, and then when that I saw, but it was before the trailer dropped, I knew he was coming, he was making it. I was like, okay, I'll watch Brick and I'll watch Brothers Bloom, and I watched both, and because I didn't love Brick the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, and then I saw Looper, and I fell in love with Looper, and that was just what made me go back and rewatch Brick and rewatch all of the and all of his movies and get super excited for Star Wars.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's a lot of white male filmmakers who have fallen upward, who have done mediocre first couple projects and then gotten big franchises. And I think Rian Johnson is the opposite of that, where with each film he showed his skill, his craft, his passion. And when he finally did get his big franchise, he had more than proven. Oh, what God, this shot is just...
I love that.
Totally interrupted my train of thought.
Yeah, I know. I just got like shook for a second.
Yeah, he had proven his worth. He wasn't one. He like put the time in, put the effort in, and proved. And I think, for all we know, he might have been offered big stuff before that, but I think he wanted to like chart his course.
I mean, as someone who is a huge Star Wars fan and has been for my entire life, it was really, really nice to see someone that wasn't just mediocrely failing upwards to get a movie like that and to see what he was going to do with it. And I don't want to turn everything we watch into going back to Star Wars, but it's really hard not to do that.
Star Wars, yeah.
Like, as someone who just appreciates what he did.
It's such... The A going into the tunnel
would be a great tattoo.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But it's funny, Taylor, because I feel that same way of I don't want everything to funnel into Star Wars. But it's so interesting because usually when you look at the franchise movie and a lot of these kind of like auteur filmmakers' careers, they're kind of unimportant. Like they kind of seem like the perfunctory movie they just had to get out for a studio. Whereas like for Last Jedi, for him, it is, the hand.
We see that shot again. It's like a painting.
It's
the way
it's
the
so
water,
much more impactful.
The current of the water is flowing off her wrist. The framing of the bracelets. It's dark. It's macabre, but it's beautiful.
But the fact that it became a poster like shows. Like, kind of his genius.
I had that poster on my wall in college.
But it just goes to show that this guy, his franchise movie that he did, is just as important, or not, if not more important, for like emblematic of like who this guy is as an artist, which just shows his power.
Love the way that they follow him after he finds the body, and just, you know, in a neo-noir film, a lot of the time you're in like a city full of lights and you're walking through tall buildings and kind of aimless through people. But in this one, it's like walking through the football field, going into a library, like trying to, you still manage to get that same mood and atmosphere in such a different way. And that's just how effective it is.
I love the soft fades too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like, we've all been in a football field or in like these settings. Like, I don't want to say specifically these, but the fact that it's in high school makes it more real because we've kind of been there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I've never really been sat next to a dead body. Like, I don't know what you do in your spare time, Pat. But you know.
Wait, Jacob, what? Wait, everybody else? I mean, you never had a crisis of conscience? Hold on, let's ignore this topic and look at the dog.
Sorry, she wanted up.
No, please.
But just to go back to what you guys were saying about like with Rian Johnson and his career and how he has, he's not failed upwards. He's earned his progression upwards to the point where every single film he manages to learn. He manages to improve upon his flaws, if that makes sense. Like where he's learned things that he's done and made himself just go, okay, well, I'm going to do this better. Because I personally, I think Knives Out is his best film to date. And that's just emblematic of his writing, because I think it's his best writing and his best directing so far.
The special like features of Knives Out, where it's basically just an hour and a half documentary of what went into making the movie. When you listen to the people who work with him over and over again talk about him and his process, it's so clear that he's just such an open guy who's like learning new things all the time and trusting the people that work around him to do what they do best. And it's such an interesting, like, if you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out, because the documentary is basically as long as the movie, but it's so interesting. And it really gives you a lot of insight into how he makes these movies. And on that note, it just felt really good for him to get recognition for Knives Out, for it to come out and to be this huge thing that no one was really expecting. Because he puts that work and that passion and that craft and that love into what he does.
Yeah. Other than all the Parasite love, Ryan getting his first Oscar nomination made me happier than almost anything else that last year.
I literally wanted to cry. I was so excited.
This guy,
I was going to say, like, I think what's funny, especially conversation, like going around the Rian Johnson conversation, is he's now become one of those names where like the director is almost bigger than the movie, but the story is almost first. But the other thing that like I appreciate about Rian Johnson is it doesn't seem like the lack for the better words, pretension isn't there. It's just like, here's my movie and I'm excited to share it with you guys, versus like, this is my movie, if that makes any sense.
He is so genuine, so kind. He loves sharing his work. He loves talking about his work. He loves teaching people. His success has not changed him in any way.
But it's so funny, like, hearing the behind the scenes. There was an interview with Chris Evans where he was talking about Rian Johnson on Knives Out, and he was like, this guy knows what he needs. It's not what he wants, it's what he needs. And that comes from the range of people who he surrounds himself with. Of just
these flashback voices are so chilling.
Well, and that whole like scene of him talking to the brain being like, tell me not to pursue this. Like, give me the excuse to like back out of this.
Yeah, I was gonna say before, the actor who plays the brain, Matt O'Leary, had a really nice career and then sort of dropped off a bit. He was so good in Frailty.
I love Frailty.
He's in a couple of the Spy Kids movies, and I think most recently he did a couple episodes.
He's in Spy Kids.
2 and 3.
I've seen him. Thank you, Max. Oh my god!
How long has that been driving you crazy?
2 entire like my whole life. I googled it.
He did a couple episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. recently. That's the last thing I saw him in.
Wow. Mike Kay said that he thinks Ryan's career reminds him a lot in the trajectory that Nolan's did. I think that's really interesting.
Totally.
He's not as self-serious as Chris Nolan, but the comparison is...
I would agree with that. However, I think Nolan is about 4 films later. Like, Nolan is about 4 films later than where Ryan's is at the moment. And I'm hoping that Ryan's isn't the same 4 that we've just seen from Nolan.
But I will stand up for Chris Nolan. Like, as much as he's kind of seen as the ubiquitous filmmaker nowadays of like who set the dark and gritty tone. No one has really have yet to like prove that they can do it as good as him. And I really think if you look at like his works, even like his later ones, there is such a sophistication to the construction of his films that like would fall apart in the hands of any other filmmaker that truly make him such like a visionary. Like he's populist. Everybody loves his movies, which kind of like, and he made 3 Batman movies, which kind of like clouds people's perception of like, oh, he's just kind of like, a gimmicky filmmaker. Inception shouldn't work as a movie. Even Interstellar and even Dunkirk, like the way he formatted those, but through sheer like innovation of editing and directing, those films have climaxes. Those films have character arcs. Those films have set pieces that work within the construction of different timeline narratives. That's impressive as a filmmaker.
Can we just talk for a second how he said supposed to be old, like 26 years old, and now I want to wither out of my skin and die?
Yeah, I literally sat here and had an existential crisis at the screen because I'm 26 years old right now.
Oh.
And I'm like, great, I'm dead.
I'm almost 33, so I'm really dead.
We're all just headstones
Max, what's it like?
sitting in these seats.
Enjoy your 20s, I'll say that. You wake up when you're 30 and you're like, my hip!
My side hurts.
That's what happened to me when I was in New York with you.
I know, I remember. You turned 30, we went out, we got drunk, and then you woke up and you're like, oh, it hurts!
Sounds accurate.
They put her in so many fun outfits, and I know it's because she's like in the play in the drama club.
But like the blue stands out from like
It
all the
does.
other colors. Like
It sure does.
It's iconic. It has iconography.
Yep.
Rian Johnson, this guy is like pretty smart.
He might know what he's doing or something. I don't know.
Do you think this guy's got a career in Hollywood?
I know we don't want to keep going back to Star Wars, but I'm sure you guys remember all the behind the scenes photos he posted. I would love like a coffee table book of all of his photos.
Oh, yes.
I had heard rumblings about it, but it never happened. But he shoots everything on these great Leica cameras, which I think are the best cameras the money can buy. I'm very lucky to have one myself. The quality of the photos is just...
It's gorgeous. And like even him, he was at like Star Wars Celebration and he like held up his camera of like, this is neat, right? And you're like, you're such a nerd. I love you.
He's not a cinematographer, but I think his aptitude with the camera puts him at a head start to certain other younger filmmakers who maybe don't understand lighting and framing as well.
Yeah. No,
Is this what else was this guy in? He was in Cabin in the Woods, right?
Yeah, Cabin in the Woods.
Is that him?
Yeah.
He's the security guard in Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. With the mustache, I think.
You blew my mind again.
Oh!
I love the movie.
Hogue, I thought you knew movies.
You've been schmoed
I
out.
suck.
He knows all the technical stuff, and then when it comes to actors, he's like, that's a face.
we all have
Ooh,
our
this guy's acted in
areas of expertise.
That's true.
Whoa.
Oh,
Flying
Just
punch.
for Levin being like, I'm a scout. You're
I
What I-
mean,
what I love
that's a smart
Jerk.
strategy because the only way he's going to get anything on him is a jumping flying punch.
and a surprise.
What I love about Joseph's character is he is sort of the prototypical nerd, but he's so confident and not afraid to stand up to people. It like skirts the archetype of the nerd who you expect to be timid and afraid of the jocks or the bullies or the popular people,
Yeah.
and he just goes for it. I'm sure the motivation of her death it helps, but he's just like, let's go.
There's a chase scene later that I watched on repeat before Last Jedi came out. 'Cause I'm like,
Boom.
this guy's doing Star Wars.
Woo! Like this is a really awesome parking lot fight.
And it's believable.
That's so high school.
That is
the most
very
high school
high
thing.
school.
I
Because
mean,
a scene like this,
he's such
like,
an
this
anime
isn't-
character. The way he like throws his entire body into.
I've
a
only
punch.
ever been in one fight in my life that ended with me throwing a soup can at someone's head, but I feel like going for the shins is smart if they're bigger than you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
especially
said,
a footballer. Break his legs.
Well, that,
Jesus.
There you
that
go.
really ties in with him not really being scrappy. Like, he doesn't normally throw himself into fights, but clearly he's a smart guy where he's like, how can I do this? Flying surprise punch and right to the shins. That's how
Yeah.
we're going to do
Yeah.
this.
Surprise uppercut and shins. Done.
His brain is tactical in that way that like a detective, but also somebody who's like
Hey, was there a fight?
crafty.
Yeah.
But like, there is a chase scene that comes up later in the film that I watched on repeat before Last Jedi came out because I'm like, this guy is doing a Star Wars movie, and he filmed this chase scene.
What happened?
I love
to
that
her?
dialogue there.
She's used to pop up and stuff all the time. The chat was asking about that earlier too. Like, I liked her a lot. She guest starred in TV shows.
She's in Brothers Bloom,
and she was in Heroes.
Mm. That was really her career. She was a bit of a. She popped up in like little
she
TV
did a few
shows.
episodes of Grey's Anatomy and Mad Men. Yeah,
and she was in Designated Survivor a couple of years ago. So, she still did stuff.
Who is she in Designated Survivor?
Valerie Porskova.
Oh boy.
I sort of feel like Keira Knightley took her roles.
Yeah.
They have
She
the
got
same
that face.
same cheekbone structure. Those big eyes.
And I'm not accusing of anybody in this movie of bad acting, but the fact that they're all in high school, if they're bad actors in this neo-noir, it kind of adds to like, oh, that's their character.
Yeah.
They don't have to be great.
We're going to talk about real quick. The person who's about to show up as the vice principal is one of the all-time great noir action actors, in my opinion, and that is the great Richard Roundtree, who was the original.
I love that one.
And I think that is such perfect casting. Again, to Ryan's credit, what he was going for with this, it's such a nice nod to where this movie came from, and also like Roundtree really kind of reinventing noir for the 70s.
Yeah, I just watched him in Seven yesterday.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Real quick, both punches that hit him, they cut to a single frame of his last image before he went unconscious.
So smart.
That's so cool.
So smart. It's almost like he's the police captain.
Yeah, that's the way they do it.
Give me your badge and your gun. You're done.
That's exactly what it is, and I love that.
Yeah, they had to do the police captain scene, and they didn't know how to do it, and that's how they do it.
Like, I love that he's the assistant vice principal. He's not the vice principal. He's not the principal.
Yeah. Well, and then he even says something along the lines of like, suspend me, do whatever, and I'll see you at the parent-teacher conference.
So smart.
It's like anybody who's like, we got to have the next big thing in Hollywood. They're saying, copy Rian Johnson. Then they watch this and they're like, I don't know. He just is doing this well. How do I copy this?
The only movie that apes this nearly as well, but it's because it's a parody, is 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street.
Yeah.
These up.
But those are more concerned with being like
parodies, like I said. I mean,
yeah,
that's what I mean. But they're also maybe arguably the only other film franchise that I can think of in the last 20 years. That
and Veronica Mars.
Yes, and Veronica Mars.
But it's also funny when you think about those guys who are about to make a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Fair.
Which is, it all ties together of like these guys that see genres. Let's figure out what we can do with it. And Kathleen Kennedy, to her credit, was like, you guys understand it. Come make a Star Wars movie.
And then she was like, you're not doing it the way I want to do it, so bye-bye. But that's for another day.
Yeah,
I like Solo well enough.
We'll get there. It's curtains
anyway. So good.
Ah, yes.
Love it.
They're not to bring it back to Star Wars again, but there will be two moments in that movie where I will ask everybody to hush, because there are two lines that truly just make me go, oh, what a well-written line.
I mean, I expect it from Blunden over there with those posters, but Pat, I expect better from you.
I don't decorate. What can I say?
That's not a bad call. It says Assassination of a High School President.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
God, I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Yeah.
That's a good call. I don't know.
I love these absolutely banal posters he has. The VP has all over his room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 9 of 10.
I'm 10. Oh,
love it. I'm sorry. I'm a big like geek for a language. Like that's why I love Deadwood so much, is because of the use of prose and language that's so stylized, and that was part of what initially when I first saw it really like endeared me to this film.
This film invents its own language. Like, it's so self-confident in that kind of way.
Line to the classic noirs, the way they talk, the pitter patter, the what do you say? See, there's a dame down at the docks, and you got it, but it's still its own more modern version of it.
Yeah. It's weird now to watch this, having lived in California for 3 years or in Los Angeles, and be like, oh,
I love this shot in that car. Is it Toretto?
hey, my name's Dom. You want to be in our family?
Oh god.
You seem like you got what it takes.
You're welcome, Mike K.
Yeah, Mike, you need to definitely watch Deadwood.
And the movie was dope too.
The movie was. I kind of wish it had been like 2 2-hour movies, but I will take what I can get out of it at this point. I was happy we got anything.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he comes up with a brick and then everything with Tug, which is the best name ever, is my favorite thing in this movie.
He's so angry.
Yeah. The shot of him with his hand up on the glass just makes me laugh in the right way. But also, that whole sequence just is so good because it lingers on that shot of the window for so long, and you're expecting it to be that, you know, he's going to take his jacket off and be the badass and like break the glass with his hand, you know. But he doesn't do that. He comes back.
But he takes his glasses off, ready to get hit in the face. Like he knows he's about to get beat up.
Little bit of speed ramping right there is so well executed. It's not overdone.
Mm-hmm.
This whole like section is like, oh, this guy's the director, and like understands the genre of like, yeah, beat this guy up.
He is a filmmaker.
He understands the art of the cinema.
This whole standoff too.
Oh man,
it's just so good. And it's just edited perfectly. Perfectly.
Good aim he has there.
Yeah. The way that
the steady hand as the car drives past. Oh.
Yeah, you guys are definitely ahead of us because we're about to get to him about to do the standoff.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So, no spoilers, guys. We want to watch this movie like for realsies.
Here it comes.
Oh, there's the shot that is the thumbnail for this video.
Oh, hello, kitty.
Oh, the hand, the quivering
It's
of
so
the hand.
good.
Yeah,
it's
just so good. And again, that's just a full credit to Ryan in what he manages to do with this. Like, it just works.
This whole moment sets up the internal logic of kind of there's a world beyond what we're seeing. This thug understands that this kid is cool enough, even after I beat him up, to see the kingpin, the pin of like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you did.
Like, all right.
It's so funny. I've been watching so many movies during quarantine, and this is the first one that has me itching to be like, oh man, I really want to make a film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rian Johnson is so good at that. I like inspiring of like, you could do this.
Yeah.
Just be confident. Just do it.
Well, and $500,000 helps, but
it helps. It helps. All right. I'm going to bring my friend over so that I can relinquish myself.
The likeness is uncanny.
Thank you, Max.
I really need to make this an horror-based podcast just for that picture.
It's terrifying.
It's really, really creepy. It's a great impersonation of it, Max.
I'm trying.
I know.
I like that the Kingpin just lives in this like modest little house.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, because to the credit of this film, we're playing against the basic nature of what everything is in these movies. So it's just so perfect. And his reveal is unsettling. To say the least.
Such a great moment.
So good.
And the little room he's into is just so perfectly Godfather-esque. I don't know. I love it.
You're expecting someone very different than this.
Yeah, right.
I think. So great that to do that, just moving the type of glass on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
You the pin? That eagle statue.
Well, and there's an eagle on the mailbox too.
Yeah, Lucas Haas, ladies and gentlemen,
Yep.
the one and only. 26 years old.
He might as well have a tombstone.
Thanks.
That's what they said earlier, not me. As the dialogue.
Oh, that line.
It's just so hard not to be just totally enamored with this film. Like everything about it, it's just the world is so intoxicating in all the right ways that I just feel drawn in.
Which I never do.
Oh shit!
That cutaway is brilliant.
Wait, we're watching Brick?
You've been watching Breach this whole time, haven't you?
Dang it! Sorry, guys. What's his name? This
I
actor
do
who
love
plays.
just the whole. So the way that they just basically
those
do
cuts.
that whole setup of, you know, he's going to see the mob boss, but really it's a kid in his parents' basement. Like I just love that.
Well,
That
and it has
feels a little
that
ahead of its time, doesn't it?
Mm.
Just throwing that out there. Mob bosses, internet, guys living in basements.
Well, it's so funny because I
God,
think
he gets a
something
crap beat
that's
about him in this movie.
pretty consistent in like Johnson's filmography is he does a really good job of subverting the audience's expectations consistently through just part of his style.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Definitely.
Evan, if you're going to bring up a statement that controversial, warn me ahead of time.
I have a controversial statement.
That's a-
Rian Johnson is talented.
Stop it, guys! Come on. But it is the thing of we'll get to Last Jedi. That'll be a movie. But circumventing expectations in it of itself is not a bad thing.
All right.
I think
So really, there are
48,
films- you guys off?
27. Mike.
Yeah, I want to cut it. I want to count it down since we're all a little bit off right now. Right now I'm currently at 48, about to hit 45. I'm gonna count down once we get 10 seconds from 49. Flat.
Okay.
All right, y'all ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 49. There y'all go.
Oh,
Perfect.
Evan, never do that again.
I love the
Sometimes you
lighting in
just gotta
this.
do it.
You can't see anything. You can barely see his lips, just the sunken shadows of his eyes, his hair. Almost looks like an album cover, like Queen or something.
If you don't see the eyes, it makes you seem soulless. It's such like a beautiful, like with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you see his eyes very directly, and then cut to his parents in the house. Well, I like
that picture. I love that picture.
the parents just talk like people, just like normal people. It's like, oh, you kids being like goofy with all your like stuff going on.
I would love some country style apple juice right now, you guys.
He has a cookie on a napkin in front of him.
PJ, you need to provide refreshments for the group next time.
I'll make sure that I send them to everyone before we
Just
start.
Amazon.
I'm just saying that friggin' rooster picture is
Amazing.
legit, and I need it.
It says a lot.
There's
about what's
just
going
so much bird memorabilia, like paraphernalia in this house.
Yo.
It's so strange.
And then puts it back down.
He blows our clam.
This is good. This is good. We're all speechless.
Again, to point what I said earlier, one of the things that about this movie is I just get so drawn into it, and eventually I'm like, I can't focus on anything else literally than the movie itself because it's just so good, and
It's
just so interesting.
it's the thing I couldn't process it the first time I saw it. Like it really was, and it's hard to process it while I'm doing a commentary, but it really is so dense in content and dense in like implication with every single aspect
Right.
that like you know that this guy who's made this thing really has thought about everything. And do you pay attention to everything or just what they're talking about? And watching it multiple times, you start to see literally everything that was planted throughout the entire movie. This guy's a filmmaker. He really knows what he's doing.
I didn't know that Jacob was the kingpin because he said fair enough, and that's what Jacob says to me 95% of the time.
Jacob. Where are our advantages to your...
I think that makes me the brain.
It's fair.
Can I be Tug? Because that sounds fun.
Yes, you could be Dominic Toretto.
Yay. Go family.
How
I
long
love
was I
this
out?
shot.
Half an
I
hour.
love this shot that's coming up where he looks back like with the light shining on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that shot.
Everything about this. What a film, like, to make out the gate and really just put your name out there. This movie just
And
pops in that way.
he suffered through LA, like working different jobs.
Where
like,
he goes down
for
and she comes
10
up.
years.
And the way the light switches between them.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But in what makes him a great filmmaker is you hear, like, especially Adam Driver had a lot of interviews about The Last Jedi of like, this guy makes it intimate. No matter how big the production, he always makes sure you know of like the emotional integrity of every scene.
Yeah.
And, like, even watching these small films that are in like
And
his friend's living room.
I don't want to diminish filmmakers who don't also write their scripts.
No, they
But they're-
suck.
But there's something that allows them to be extra intimate and extra methodical with how they decide to shoot it and frame it when it's their own writing.
There's
I
an
think.
awareness of the audience, and it's for some people that can be a real detriment because you look at someone like Colin Trevorrow, who does something like Jurassic World that is very much like, we know what the audience wants. Let's hit the beats. Let's do something a little different. And it feels kind of like placated in a lot of that way. Whereas Rian Johnson is like, I know what you expect for the middle movie of a Star Wars trilogy. I'm going to give you that, but think about it. Like, of kind of like defying your
I'm
expectations.
also going to try and say something with that movie.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to try and say something like,
but I'm
this
making
isn't
sure
just
it's within the genre. I'm going to say something
Yeah.
with every film, and especially with Last Jedi. I'm saying something, but it's Star Wars, so $1 billion worth of people are going to see it. I hope they like it.
But what if I just want laser swords?
Oh, it
Taylor,
had that.
I wanted you to take your opinion, put it in your pocket, and go to your room.
It had some pretty amazing.
Literally,
laser
that's
swords, too.
literally the reply that I get every time I talk about The Last Jedi.
It's so...
I just wanted
everybody-
laser swords and fights in Star Wars. And I
Yeah,
was
but
like,
the,
okay.
the damn throne room scene rocks my socks off.
oh, the throne room scene.
I know.
Anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah, sorry.
We keep
So we're
saying
not talking about
sorry,
Star
we're not
Wars?
going to keep talking about it, and then like literally
I
10
mean,
minutes later,
it's
we're
not
just
like any
"So
of us
Star
have
Wars."
Star Wars tattoos, right?
Not yet.
Oh, just me.
I do
Oh.
love. Sorry, and I do just want to say that real quick when we're here. That with the way Levitt is moving, you can feel his muscles are actually like sore from being constantly beaten up. Like that's not something that most films like this would acknowledge.
Part of me
But
wonders if
the
he
way
was just
he's
getting
acting-
beaten up so much because they didn't have money for stunt doubles.
Yeah, that could be it.
But every character in this movie has a very purposeful and specific physicality.
But especially him that feels pent up.
Well, and Tug,
whenever
and Tug too.
Tug especially, but like
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt feels like if you fight him, he has all this like stuff just ready to unleash because he's so tense the whole movie.
God, I love this look on her. The bowler hat, the way she's sitting backwards on the chair, the little metal flower, the stark red lipstick, those
Very
earrings.
steampunk. To a point.
It's also very Charlie Chaplin-esque in the right ways. Like
Or
very
it reminds
very-
me of Cabaret.
Sure.
But
Sally
theatrical in that kind of sense for both.
Yeah,
of
very
those guys.
Sally Bowles, yeah.
So Evan, I'm curious. Like you're in film school, you're a bit younger. What is your perception of Rian Johnson? Like, especially for
Definitely
like
not
this
as
kind of like. Oh, you're not?
Thoughts? No.
Well, my notes that I'm looking at that I clearly have in front of me are incorrect.
Yeah, clearly. No, but anyways, I think in general, I think my favorite thing about Rian Johnson is he's always able to knock your socks off halfway through the movie and then explain how he did that during the rest of it.
There's like an intellectualism to like his style.
Like he does something where the surprise comes, but a lot earlier than you expect it to. But it's rather how he explains the surprise within the movie is what gets me like really excited. Like especially Knives Out, when they did the twist so early, they showed us kind of what happens, and then there's that second twist, which we'll get into in Knives Out. I think it's my favorite part is because you think you got it, but then you don't, and I think that's one of my favorite Rian Johnson things. It's just you think you got it, but you don't.
Circumventing
always
like
willing
expectation.
But
Yeah,
it's
always.
and like Pat was saying, it's not even just circumventing expectation. It's being skillful in the way that you do it, because you can do that and it can be horribly executed and it can be for the wrong reasons. But if you know how to handle it, it can make for really great storytelling.
He's not dissimilar to Tarantino in the way that he plays within genre. But I think Rian is more earnest about it, whereas Tarantino, whom I love and I'm not trying to insult, tends to go more towards pastiche.
Yeah. But he's good at being classical about it, whereas Rian is really good about modernizing it in a weird way. This chase scene about to come up is what I would watch on repeat, knowing that he was about to do Last Jedi, because what we're about to see is incredible.
It's just so simple.
That knife.
But not
It's
at the
the
same
sound
time.
design too. The sound design is insane.
It's so incredible. So well done.
Well, and again, to the point of the cinematography, like everything about it just really works in the right way.
I don't know if it's on a steady cam here.
Oh,
I don't know what that is.
oh, that
and
would
it's,
hurt. Oh, that would hurt.
But it's
Yeah.
also like the stillness in each frame to let like the shot sit, to let the actors like really dictate like the energy of what's going on. Is
No quick cutting or
No.
You know.
And this scene really just goes back to kind of what we touched on with when he was in the fight, where he knows he can't beat him by running and getting away. He has to be smart about how he's going to do it.
You got to intellectualize it, but the editing is so well done. And Evan, what you said, like sound design, it's so perfect.
Yeah, and he edited himself. I think he did it like on his MacBook on Final Cut.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, if I remember back when he was
I have a
posting
list
on
of
his message
facts
board and stuff.
Up here, but let me.
I definitely know he edited himself, but I'm pretty sure he just did it like on his laptop on Final Cut. Like he processed the film, digitized it, and went to work. I love that he lost his shoes.
But it's also a
I love
lesson
that.
to.
Wow.
Sorry, go ahead, Taylor.
What a nice haul.
I'm sorry. There's a shot where he's sitting there and there's just this like lamp sitting in the car, and it's like a real like table lamp just sitting in the car, and it kills me every time.
You use what you can get.
Like that feels like something that like a 26-year-old who deals with high schoolers would be like, this is chic. This is the height of luxury.
Wait,
and
we don't do that in cars right now?
PJ,
I mean,
I've been
Jacob's
meaning to
car's
talk
not
to you
cool
about
enough to
your
do that,
van.
but
All right,
Listen, we gotta start updating your style, PJ. We gotta get some more LED light.
I don't know
in
anything
there.
about style anymore, man. Trying to figure it out still.
This is really such a film that's indicative of this is what you got. Work with it and add it to the story and character in a way like everybody owns a stupid lamp like that, whether it's like a stupid desk lamp that I have. If your character fits somebody that would think that's cool, make them the character of your film. Of all this dumb pastiche kind of things are what like my gimmick is. Like Rian Johnson's really good with working within constraints.
In the chat, Mike K is talking about the cinematographer Steve Yedlin, who has done some amazing work with Rian Johnson.
Mhm.
But I think in the films he's done, not with Rian Johnson, the most high profile being the rock vehicle San Andreas.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been given as much opportunity to show off what he can do, whereas Ryan lets him play a bit more.
What a fucking line just to see you sweat. Oh,
Yeah.
This
I
movie
don't
makes
like
me
that.
nostalgic for phone booths.
Phone booths are great for cinema and terrible for real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I'll never forget. This is a totally stupid, unrelated story, but when I was a kid, my mom would let me go to like the mall or whatever, and it was before cell phones. She had an 800 number set up to go directly to her cell phone that I could use from any payphone without needing quarters. So that was
Damn.
pretty baller.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Nothing like an overprotective Jewish mother. Hi, Mom. She's not watching.
We're gonna get a
You
call
get a
later
text
that he definitely
immediately.
watched.
Maxwell, stop talking about me on YouTube.
This shot of them on the beach is just so next
I
level.
love the way it's just slowly panning back.
Yeah.
He got hot and he just hit you. He's been doing that. Oh, you see where he grew from this. Like, you can tell, like, from every aspect of this guy's confident. He, like, knows his storytelling. But, like, the fact that he's so open to those around him, and that the fact that he, like, I will take whatever the best idea is, regardless of who's in the room, really elevates him past, you know, a lot of people that are very, no, I'm the best. Look at me. I can direct the best. And
By all accounts, he's a really giving collaborator, and not, as you said, one of those directors who it's like, it's my vision and we're doing it my way.
The
So,
fact that
Max-
Knives... Oh, go ahead, Evan.
Pat, we're gonna make Max let us cry for a second. He did the very kind thing of donating $50 on stream, and it's going straight to the GoFundMe for Craig.
That's for you, Craig.
Fucking lad, dude.
Thank you, Max.
Yeah, thank you,
You're,
Max.
you're slowly becoming one of my good friends.
Lord.
I really appreciate you here. God damn it. Can't make me cry on air. You're not here for it.
As opposed to when we were watching Lilo and Stitch and there was no crying on air.
I almost did. I was close.
No,
but,
we all did.
But Max, let's not take away. That's an incredible thing. Thank you.
That's Sunset.
I love that. Where they're like, did they call your mom? Like, okay, you could be grounded. Get out of there. Like,
Even his cane has like a goose head.
Mm-hmm. Again, there's a lot of
Bird imagery.
paraphernalia. Yeah.
Someone called me at 5:35 and it wasn't a dire emergency, I would be pissed.
Are you
dude, I know that we have our own issues off of the mic, but Max, you got to talk to me about this stuff in private. I'm sorry I called you.
Well, these days I've been staying up that late because I don't know what time is anymore. But like in normal
Time
life,
is an illusion.
time is an illusion. It's
Yeah,
a flat
what
circle.
What was it in Tag? Hannibal Rest, time is a construct. That is what that feels like right now.
The chem the junk must have been cut with.
The fact that in this sequence, like, he's been beat up so hard to this point, like he's slowly starting to cough and wheeze, and like he's having to lean against things. Again, it's just really smart filmmaking because it really goes to show how far the character has come. Not you, Dipper, and just like what he's been through at this point.
That being said, I do want to see a detective film where Dipper is the detective wearing like a little fedora and a little trench coat on his
Don't
little
give him that.
body.
Don't do that. Don't
That'd
give
be so
him,
cute.
Don't give him ideas.
I bet Elizabeth could draw a hat on that drawing she did yesterday.
It's probably true.
But you can also tell throughout all this that Rian Johnson is such a nerd that he like loves classic detective neo-noir like kind of films and stories.
And now we have Chris Clark in the chat saying that if we make that movie, Buddy needs to be in it with Dipper as Watson.
Hold up. I just want to point out, it literally took dogs for Chris Clark to show up to the stream. It literally took the idea of talking about an animal, and Chris Clark just pops up and talks about the damn cat. So,
We all know he's a big fan of Wishbone. He loves it when animals solve mysteries.
It's true. Actually, we should make the gritty reboot of Wishbone, you guys.
PJ, let's talk about this off camera, but
Sorry.
you got me interested.
Wishbone, more like wishboned.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh wow.
I'm so sorry.
Max, I don't even know how to respond. That's beautiful.
It doesn't require a response.
Just appreciation.
The creaky floorboards.
I got to be honest with you. I don't think that Dipper would be able to get this far because people would know he's there because he's very loud.
Squirrel!
There it is.
I do love that moment. That
I do too.
Well, like the only way
Chris
he
Clark
finds
was
it is because he can't shut the
Buddy up.
door.
Mm-hmm. It's just such
Patrick
a great
Hogue
moment.
with his mic.
What a waste of space. There's so much more you could do decorating that room. There's no one table and chair.
Again, the sound design in this movie, even the smallest creaks, like they really go up the back of your spine. So that moment just there where you hear the door even creak a little and the squeak of it moving, it just really gets under your skin, man. Like it's just really great filmmaking. And I can't stress enough that I cannot believe this is a freshman filmmaker.
I know.
It definitely gives
Like-
me vibes of both Black Klansman and Pulp Fiction. Just this whole basement ordeal. It's true.
But like the spotlight through the window and the just this new room is just
He was like 31 when he made it. Well, too late for me.
no, Max, you got your brick coming up just around the next year.
All right, Mike. I'm gonna give you the time code again. We might be on different streams, so I'm gonna do what we can. We are 15 seconds from 108:45, and I will be counting down from 108:40. So get your butts ready. You have a 5-second window. Here we go. We're about to hit 108:40 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 108:45. Sorry, we've had to do that twice now, but I think we're getting better. No? Okay.
No, Max, sit down. Relax.
Oh my God, it's a brick. Holy shit, guys, it's a brick.
Someone hit him.
I don't have that.
Pat, can you
capability.
like just reach up through the?
Through the camera and
Yeah.
just like punch him out of the stream.
God damn it, Matt. That hurt.
I don't care.
The squeak of the mirror. The piano.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. You know, this movie was the reason I was so excited when they announced Knives Out. And I've talked about this a little bit. Like when Knives Out was announced, the idea of Ryan going back to doing another murder mystery in the first time since his directorial debut was just so exciting to me because my first question was it going to be like Brick or was he doing something else? Like what was his angle? As we know, it's a little bit more Agatha Christie Clue-esque, but like in the right way.
This guy just hanging in the corner.
Yeah.
And the mirror spinning in the background.
Where to bill for the embalming. God. Spend the rest of my life and wouldn't come up with something that clever. I hate this movie, by the way.
Clearly. As we all do, obviously.
Back.
I love how this character is slowly earning everybody's trust because you know his intentions are good. And like
I
that was
also-
the thing.
I also love how at any time in like an actual noir movie where they would have been drinking whiskey, they're drinking juice. Like, here's some orange juice.
But I like how this guy is
I love that moment
realistically
where he
muscular.
I love that where he's kind of realizing, hang on, maybe they're not involved. Like,
Yep.
It goes to show that all of these directors who have success nowadays that were like, oh, I just want to follow that template of a Rian Johnson who had a small film and then just like hit it big because that small film was so good. Then you watch the small film and you're like, man, this is complicated and really intricate and thought out and well done in a way that, oh, you need to be a talented writer to
Cat.
do this like integrated kind of stuff. We lost Max. He died.
Oh, not Max.
Whoa.
Him.
Whoa. He doesn't have a note. He doesn't
Yeah,
have a
I
little
know,
doodle himself.
right? Bring out
Pointing. The doodle. Pat the animator.
Don't make fun of me, Max. Max, damn it. Don't make fun of me, Evan. Please, because you're about to interview.
Oh, you think this is an interview? That's
No,
crazy.
not now. But
I know,
it'll be
but you think-
contentious when we get there.
The amount of uses of a payphone in this movie stress me out.
Well, because, you know,
So much.
again, it's just so perfectly neo-noir in that way. And I like that line of dialogue is brilliant to me. The idea that he's like, any payphone, anywhere. It
but
just,
also, like,
oh, God.
again, it comes down to you can't make this movie today, but for more from they'd have to find a way for why they're using payphones and not cell phones.
Yep.
All right, guys,
Well,
really
that's-
quick. Gonna one more time here. Bar donated $50,
Damn,
saying,
Bard.
"Here's to your bud. Hope things go well. Excited for the rest of Rian Johnson month. You guys remind me of the film friends I never had in my small town." Dude, Bard, I actually really appreciate that. That's really
Thanks,
fucking
dude.
awesome.
Yeah,
I
Bard,
really appreciate that.
you
Love
have
it,
no
man.
idea how much that means. Number one, the donation is amazing. And number two, you can be a part of our film fandom of our small town that doesn't exist anytime you want, because we all came from different places. So we're glad you're here.
I missed something, but it sounds emotional and sweet, and I will add a thank you.
Yes, thank you, Max. We love you. I'm gonna take my cat out of the room real quick. He's like trying to leave, so give me a second. Come here. Say bye to the people. No.
This whole section of just Verlaine freaking out.
A lot of these shots have to have been a pain in the ass with where the sun is,
Yeah.
with where they wanted to get it,
Mm.
because you only have a very, very small window to do that.
Yeah. It's past the point where I'm not jealous of this kind of movie. I'm just envious of, wow.
I definitely agree with that, Mike K in the chat. If there's one thing I've learned both from my time in film school, being on some sets, and just studying and learning film, a film and a filmmaker's work is only as good as the crew he surrounds himself with. And I would argue that 40 to 50% at least of a director's job is hiring the right people.
Yes.
I disagree. It's only one person. Don't listen to anybody else. You stick to your guns and you scream at everybody.
Who are you,
And that's how
Orson
you
Welles?
get results. Listen. My wine is the finest wine in all the country.
Oh, come on, Maxwell.
Petrol is the greatest wine anybody can drink. For anybody who knows Orson Welles, that is a reference. So was he poisoned? Is that the idea?
No, it's internal bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just from
He's
being
got-
beaten up.
Yeah, he's got internal bleeding, and
That's
he's exhausted.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
He's been through the ringer.
Just a bit.
Like, this is totally like a feature film that someone's like, I'm a passionate little filmmaker. Let me try to make it. And then you get The Birds. Not The Birds. Birdemic. Birdemic is what I'm thinking of.
I was going to say, you get The Bird. Oh, okay.
This guy you may have heard of, Alfred Hitchcock.
Alfredo Hitchlock.
He's an Italian filmmaker.
Yeah, he's trying.
I do love
He's
that
amazing.
reveal that she was pregnant, which is like the...
Super heartbreaking.
Yeah. He's so good at close-ups too. Like transitions and close-ups. You can really tell like a director who knows what he's doing of that. If the transitions are really well done, he knows that the scenes aren't being made in the edit, they're being made in the filmmaking.
There's also a couple of shots in here with shaky cam, but they don't go too overboard so you don't get nauseous and you can still see what's happening.
Yep.
It feels stylistic in the sense of this might be like a high school film. Like
Well, you're feeling
way.
sort of the physical distress he's going through.
Yeah. It could just be what they had at that time, but the fact
Maybe.
that the film is so confident and so well done throughout it just makes it seem like such a conscious choice that it can't not have a meaning behind it. The fact that some shots are shaky cam. Because you can make this film. You can make this film with like your iPhone. Go to like a local tunnel and like get a friend with a wife beater.
But also, you could do it now a lot cheaper than you could back in 2005. Like,
Look at
you could make this film for about 50 grand now.
I would argue. I mean, look at what Sean Baker did with Tangerine.
True.
Yeah.
Or
Hey, Sean Baker. Oh, one of my favorite filmmakers today.
I mean,
it would depend on whether or not. It would
spent $1
depend on
million.
who you're hiring, basically. Like, are they
Right,
friends
but,
or are they?
You know, the big barrier, even when I was in film school, the big barrier of entry was the equipment. And now that's not anymore. With an iPhone and Filmic Pro and good editing software, you can just go out there, man. Just do it.
Also, Pat, I got some tunnels for you if you want to shoot some tunnels. Just come to me and we can shoot some tunnels.
I've been looking for some swamps. Do they have those in Florida?
Oh,
No,
plenty.
no, it's very dry. Very dry. Arid. I've heard.
Just make sure you take Evan with you, because there could be crocodiles or something. Alligators, I mean. Sorry.
So I need bait
You don't
or
think
like
I-
somebody
no,
to like
you're-
distract them.
Yeah.
Like Jacob, you're insinuating that I've never wrestled a gator before.
Every
I'm going
Floridian
to-
has wrestled
I'm-
a gator.
I'm going to take a wild assumption and say, yeah, you haven't wrestled a gator.
Evan
Are
described.
you
that,
legally allowed to live in
experience.
Florida if you haven't done that?
No,
Exactly.
definitely not.
I lived there for 14 years and got kicked out because I had never wrestled a gator and never done meth. They were
See,
like, that's 2 strikes. Leave our state.
Oh,
Dude,
Jesus.
that shot. Evan.
See, I know I'm still earlier than everybody else. I'm like, what shot? What shot? It's coming up. I'm scared. Like, what's going on?
And it's so beautiful too because it's fucking Rian Johnson, everyone.
Yes, sir.
The king.
Yeah, let's take him down. He doesn't deserve success.
That shot
Hey,
is everything.
Pat, shut the fuck up. Thank you.
I
This is a
love
children's
Joseph
show,
Gordon-Levitt's
Evan.
character's reaction to the whole thing.
But it's
You
moments
really-
like these that are like, this is real. This is really like
This is
more
kids
than high school
thinking that-
drama.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think I got to the
Bird.
shot everyone else was at.
I think
You'll know when you get there.
I think you and I, Pat, are on the same.
Yeah, I think you guys
Yeah.
are just a tiny bit behind us, but that's okay.
Well, it's like a 3D movie where you show one image next to the other, but they're slightly disaligned. This is that with audio and everything else. Put the gun down, Tug.
Part of me
Also-
wonders if like you guys are watching a different version, because it's like exactly 30 seconds. It's just interesting.
Probably. Could
How
be
are
a
you
different
guys
stream.
watching it?
I'm streaming
I'm
it.
on iTunes.
Yeah.
I'm watching it on Amazon.
I'm on Amazon.
I'm on.
That might be it.
I don't-
We're both on Amazon.
We
Yeah.
figured it out.
It might be an
Now
extra
Imagine-
logo or something at
rejoices.
the
Imagine-
beginning of it.
Imagine being a consumer of Jeff Bezos. Couldn't be me.
It's almost
Yeah,
as opposed to Tim Cook and Apple.
I use it now.
All corporations suck, but we have no choice but to do business with them in order to get the things we want. That's the folly of the world.
Yeah, mine had a Quibi ad, but it just set itself on fire. I don't know how to explain that. It was weird, guys. Anyone who
I'm so curious about I'm so curious what it would be like to be in high school and like have smoking normalized because I never grew up with that. So I'm like very curious to like what it would be like to be in that setting where people smoke before and after school before they actually like go into class and shit. Like that culture to me is so
What about now
non-existent.
in college? Do people smoke?
No, it's really not a thing. People vape. They'll vape whenever they're walking around
Yeah,
campus,
what-
but you don't. See
Are you
people walking around with
talking-
cigarettes.
Specifically about cigarettes or weed?
Right,
Did
because
you
I was
guys
going
see
to.
this, by the way? The Bard said, fun fact, the air was an accident. It was a discharge from the blood spatter device that he thought looked cool, so he kept it in.
It looked
I
good.
love that.
It
It's
looks
so- that's
great. Like, yeah. I was like,
Um,
how did they hook that up?
Not a lot of people smoked cigarettes when I was in high school, but in college, everybody did, including me for about a year and a half, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I talked to
Yeah,
my niece.
the only time
who-
personally.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was
go.
gonna say the only time I've ever seen cigarettes like normally smoked were at film school parties, and that's because everyone at the film school parties think that they are gonna intern for A24 or something like that, so they're just trying to fit in, you know.
Evan, shut your mouth. Don't make fun of me like that, okay?
The A24 office is a block from where I live.
God damn,
Max.
I'm gonna come visit you.
So
letting you know.
we've walked past it multiple times, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Guys.
Oh, damn. I had no idea for some reason.
I like how
when I was in
Tony's
high
letting him
school,
take
it
a
was
nap.
like I don't think I ever saw anyone with cigarettes.
Mm.
But when I was in college, it was definitely more of a thing.
Oh, I
Like high
definitely
school was
smoked-
more. High school
I
was
was-
more weed.
Oh, I definitely smoked cigarettes and weed all through high school because I was that guy.
Well, my niece, who was just
I
in high school,
love
said
this.
everybody vapes now.
Yeah,
My little brother and his high school / almost college friends all vape.
I know you guys are past it, but I just got to the point where it was cut to everybody in like wife beaters and tank tops. That was great. Also, what are drugs? I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I've never done drugs.
I don't know what drugs are. Never heard of a drug.
You don't find out about drugs till you're 20, Evan.
Oh right.
Even
so
then,
I
I just-
have like 3 more months to go.
Hmm?
3 more months.
The most
And I'll
intense
become
thing
a
I have is Sprite Cranberry. Like that's as
Oh.
crazy as I'm.
Oh,
That is
shit.
some good stuff, though.
Oof.
Sprite Cranberry is actually fantastic, and that LeBron James commercial, "The Go," is one of my favorite
Jesus.
commercials
It's
of all
the
time.
thirstiest time of that one.
Yes.
The fact
I
that
just-
you think that guy is the greatest basketball player of all time over Michael Jordan, how dare you?
That's really.
I had
good
an
framing of that
existential
shit.
moment of that song being sung over Rian Johnson's first film, and I was like, "What life decisions got me to this point?" And it's beautiful, everybody. It's beautiful.
You're so welcome. I like the duct tape on his jacket from where he got slashed.
Yeah,
It's a nice touch.
tug. Again, that makeup, not okay, but makes sense for high school. Of like, yeah,
Well, if you're doing
It's-
play, yeah.
totally. My high school, my freshman year, did an all-white production of The Wiz,
Oh my god.
not The
I'm gonna
Wizard
go-
of Oz.
I'm gonna go throw up. That would
That
almost be as bad as doing an all-white production of Once on This Island.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah,
Wait, actually, you know what? You want to know the worst part about that, Max? My high school tried that, but we failed.
I
We
can't-
tried that, but we
Can't imagine why you would have.
It was a class war. It was gonna be a class divide.
No, it
Which-
doesn't work.
But yeah, that was the thing that my high school literally tried. I'm sorry, but we failed, so it doesn't matter anymore.
I always wonder when authors or screenwriters are planning a mystery with different characters, different motivations, etc.? Do they sort of like take it from the macro and like chart out where it's going to end up and the little things before filling in the gaps?
Well, what
The process of constructing like you see a lot of mysteries that there are holes, but then you have ones that are really tight and everything fits.
Yeah, and Rian Johnson has been very vocal about his writing style, which is he thinks in set pieces of what are the cathartic moments for revelations and scripts, and really like kind of he talks about him writing in like smaller notebooks, really making sure that the plot can work within one page if I draw it out. Like, and he shows examples of all of his films that he's done of you can see how he tracks every set piece, and then from there, like what is the set piece at the end where the revelations there have to be more impactful than what you do earlier on. And so you break down it from smaller and smaller. And I've tried to do that writing. Like I've bought in small notebooks and try to copy that. I work much better on like a formal kind of like computer screen with outlines and all that kind of thing. But with him, it makes sense of he knows what his cards are going to play later. So he knows like how big of an impact he can make earlier on.
Right.
And so the set pieces you see earlier are awesome and cool, but they work within Act 1. Once you get to Act 3, those set pieces are going to be crazy and big and even bigger than what you see in Act 1.
Dude,
And then
this
it's always
whole
so-
sequence. Oh my god,
Mm.
it's just
Yeah.
so emotionally devastating.
It's always so gratifying to go back and watch it a second or third time and see how all the pieces really do fit.
Mm-hmm.
And how smartly thought out and planned it is, and not just let's see, throw it all and we'll see what works.
That's what I mean. This film, I think this film more than any of his others is the one that really benefits from rewatches.
Definitely.
Like,
even the language can be hard to grasp at first.
That's the dialogue is to understand because they really throw you in head first with the dialogue. It makes it difficult to wrap your head around. Oh, okay, so that's what they're actually talking about.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He's a damn fine actor.
Yeah.
He's always one of those guys I thought would be an Oscar nominee someday.
I just realized, I wonder if part of what happened with Nora, her and Rachel Bilson, right around that time were coming up like super similarly. They probably went in for a lot of the same roles.
And then they fought each other in alleys with knives.
Yes, definitely that. But I wonder if
Knives Out.
Rachel could have taken quite a few of those similar roles. Because, I mean, same
Maybe.
time frame, like The Last Kiss would have been 2006, and she would have fit
Jumper.
the role. Jumper. Chuck, because she was in Chuck.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, right around that same time. So, things like that happen. She's very, very talented. It was just something I was thinking about. So I looked at some of the dates and it would have lined up to be, they probably would have been going out for quite a few of the same roles.
I'm just catching myself just like transfixed at like all the little details. The little curl that's on just Gordon-Levitt's head. Oh, so pretty.
There we go. See that.
But again, iconography. That was such an important shot early on, and it only works if it's visually shown well. Bring it back.
Oh, I love that. Dissolve to the further smoked cigarette.
Bard knows what's up. The deli girl from Chuck. Yeah, that Bilson storyline went on for a little while. That was season 2?
1.
Was it season
It's
1?
the second half of season 1.
Okay. I couldn't remember.
I only know that because we finished watching season 1 like 6 months ago, and we were meant to keep going, but we didn't. we went back to movies.
See him just questioning Tug about you smoke cigarettes lets him know if like the girl's the one that was in the car at the beginning. Something to do with it. Without like being overt about it. God, this guy knows how to make a movie. Weird. It's hard to pay attention during a commentary because you want to like be vocal and engaged. And for a movie this kind of dense with every scene, it's hard to like. I see everything that's breadcrumbed out and laid out, but it really does feel like, even with having the tangentials of, oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's getting to something. Like, I don't know what it is exactly, but like, if like, even having seen this film, you can tell that, oh, it's building. We're getting to a point.
I do really just love like the shots here is just fantastic.
Are we gonna like talk about the juxtaposition of Pin and Tug, and especially just in their costume design?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of brilliant.
That's ridiculous. Why would you bring that up?
I mean, it's yeah.
I love it whenever being smart about film, and every goddamn time, Pat, you're just like, no, that's not right.
I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff, Evan.
What do you think Pin's mom thinks is going on with all these people in her house?
Oh, I have no idea. But I do love
Evan,
that they
smart.
like she's like a waitress at the bar. Like the aesthetic is just so perfect.
But it's also like she's like the parents in Dexter's Laboratory of like, we don't see them, but we know like they're living normal life while like their kids are doing something completely ridiculous and outside of like their realm of understanding. Evan, I feel bad. You're very smart, and I like your opinions.
I do again.
Well, I kind of made the joke about that earlier too, because I made like at the very beginning talking about the light and the dark. That was kind of me making a nod to what we would see later in the film. But I love that, and it's so perfectly executed here. And again, this whole movie, we could keep saying it over and over and over again, but man, look at it. Like, it just works. And even to the Bard's point, Brendan is wearing gray. Like, he's the middle ground in all of this. Like, there's no right or wrong in him. It's literally the light and the dark, and him in the middle. And that's what I love.
He knows that to get justice, you need to make concessions. You need to deal with the devil in a way, and he's somebody who can walk the two worlds, or walk every world of, I know everybody. I'm willing to get my hands dirty, but I know what's true and just.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's jacket in this movie is Rey in The Last Jedi.
Taylor, we will get there. It'll be great.
I just came to my mind, and I was like, I need to say things that are coming
it's
to my
good.
brain.
I mean, she represents the
I
difference between light and dark Jedi. She's great.
I would argue that most of Ryan's filmography deals with people who live in that, you know?
Yeah.
Like that, all of his movies live in a world. Not every filmmaker does this. Like, there's a lot of black and white in movies, but his movies tend to live in a gray area where there's more to what's happening. And I think that's really interesting.
I think that's why I love him as a filmmaker so much, specifically, especially with how a lot of movies are now, where it seems like a lot of people are just concerned with having the good guys and the bad guys and not really going too much deeper than that, when, you know, in reality, that's usually not the case.
Yeah.
No,
it's funny you guys mentioned that whole gray area with Ryan, but because outside of Brothers Bloom, which I haven't seen, and this is Brick my first time, I feel like his movies have somehow gotten more colorful as time went on. Like Looper is, you know, it's nice, but it has this richness to it. But then Last Jedi's in your face, and you got these two great dichotomies between the red and the white. So it's fucking awesome. But then Knives Out is like color palette heaven.
But even Knives Out, Knives Out is a movie that makes you believe that you're dealing in a gray area. Like,
but the whole film is about following a likable murderer. We'll get to there, but like, you think she did it, and the conceit of that movie is that it does so well to make you think she needs to get away because she doesn't deserve the fate that comes with it. And that's such a smart observation, PJ and Taylor, of like, these films really are about that middle realm of it's up to the filmmaker and the storytelling to tell you what you should think about these tough decisions. And like,
well, and look, I mean, you guys know that I'm not the biggest fan of Nolan's Batman films. I like Batman Begins a ton, and I really like The Dark Knight, but I think that it hasn't aged as gracefully as maybe I'd like. But I think that Nolan, kind of what we were talking about earlier, his Batman movies live in the same world. Like the idea that there's not always good and bad, which is like
Well,
really intentionally the point.
That's what The Prestige is all about.
Yes, and The Prestige is still my favorite Nolan film.
PJ, we'll get to a commentary
Nolan.
of the Dark Knight trilogy.
Ooh, I actually love that.
I think those films are immaculate.
I
The
know
third
you do.
one,
I'm not gonna fight anyone on it. I mean,
No,
I'm not gonna take it away from everyone.
but it is interesting. Again, like we talk about Nolan, especially in comparison to Rian Johnson. Of he's somebody with a very distinct ideology when it comes to this. Oh my gosh, hold up, we got a corgi in the
There's
house,
a corgi
folks.
in the house.
But we talk about like filmmakers with ideology and how they depict it. And Rian Johnson is a guy that's like plays within genre, circumvents like expectations, but also exists in a zone of you can't be yes or no about anything. And when we'll get to it, the criticism about Last Jedi is very much of like he said this one thing about the franchise. And it's like, no, his entire filmography builds to the point of it's not about the one thing, it's about everything in between. Let's talk about all of that. And like, you know, this is a high school murder mystery that immediately tells you like it can't work on one side or the other. It has to be about the in-between greatness. You know, Looper is about a hitman that kind of gets a heart of gold in a weird way. Like, that's weird. I haven't seen Brothers Bloom, but I know it's a heist film. There's a lot to deal with there about, you know, good versus bad.
I also, just rewatching this, I get why this movie wasn't a big hit. I wish it was, but I understand it because there isn't that scene that this is everything that happened. I know this kind of is, but it isn't the same way. So it does require an audience to actually have a brain and really think about it.
Oh yeah.
It's very much a film nerds movie.
Yeah. And it like we've all kind of talked about, Rian Johnson has learned a lot through his career as he's gone on. And we get a version of this in Knives Out, but it's also flashy and it's colorful and it's the pacing is interesting and it's something that can really draw in a general audience. And I think he really learned well since this movie how to be able to do both of those things.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is also like in a lot of ways, this was his student film, you know? So like
it's a heck of a student film.
But you know what I
mean? Films like
totally. What I more mean, like you make a statement with it in a lot of ways, and not every filmmaker out the gate is going to make a film that feels like the statement film for their career. And I think that it's really important in a way that, yes, he learned how to do big blockbusters and stuff, but I would also say that he hasn't lost what this film did for him.
Totally.
And I think that every one of his films still lives in this ideal scenario of, they're big budget blockbusters and they're doing these big things that the studios want, but they also have way more going on underneath than I think people want to give them credit for.
And it's the difference between circumventing expectations of I know what you want, I know what you're expecting, versus let me show you what this genre can do. I know with Brick, you're expecting either a high school film or a murder mystery. I'm going to show you something different than both of those. Star Wars, I'm going to show you something different. Time travel, Looper, something different. A crime movie with Knives Out, something different. Like, let's take these archetypes, play with them in a way that shows you that we can expand the storytelling past what we collectively know about these genres.
Right.
And like that's such a good comparison of like, this is his student film of my thesis of, I'm taking almost like 3 different genres of high school, detective neo-noir, and like, you know, adventure film, and showing you they can all like complement each other and also be more than the sum of its parts as my first film.
I also want to say, again, to what Taylor was talking about, like, Knives Out definitely does this in the more flashy way, but I also just love the way this plays out in like the old school noir setting. Like, what a great monologue for him to break down. This is what happened. This is why you did it. This is how we ended up here. You know, like it works in the way that they play off each other with the football field as the backdrop, like this vast emptiness, and it's just them. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily saying that Knives Out is more for a general audience and flashier in a bad way, because I love everything that Brick does. It's just, you can tell that he's learned a lot between this movie and that one. And and you can still tell that he's making them for the same reasons and because he's
Yeah.
passionate about telling that kind of story. But it's so interesting to be able to go, his first movie was this, and his most recent movie that he's getting a lot of praise for and made a lot more money than anyone was expecting is along those same lines, but we've gotten to see how it's progressed since then in terms of his skills.
Yeah.
Well, I think the
Because you
best
don't really normally get to do that.
the best popular movies are the ones where they play well to a general audiences, but the filmmaker doesn't have to sacrifice doing what he wants to do. He could still be smart and clever,
Right.
tell the story he wants to tell. And I feel like Ryan had carte blanche to do exactly what he wanted for Knives Out. It didn't feel like there was any studio tinkering.
No, definitely. And that's kind of what I was getting at, man. Like, it just really works on every level that way still. And I think Taylor made an excellent point on it.
Evan is
It's
freaking
so
out.
interesting. I know. Yeah, Evan's first time watch is
Joseph
going really well.
Gordon-Levitt is such a good actor.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
holy shit!
Did
Well,
you not
also
know
the
this?
editing of the scene is so well done.
This might be his best performance.
I don't know.
I
Looper's
think
pretty incredible.
It'd be up there, but also I think he's incredible in Looper.
He's great in 50-50 too.
Yeah,
50-50 is great.
50-50.
That movie
Don
destroyed
John.
me.
I think he's pretty great in. I think that's a pretty decent little movie.
He directed that.
Yeah, I think I want to see what he directs next because I was really impressed. But it's funny because Jacob, I think it was you that said it. This is a movie that isn't digestible in a lot of ways for like a audience. And Taylor, what you said of his growth as a filmmaker, he can still have this like artistic integrity, but put it in a package that is like Knives Out is this movie, but like a consumer film.
Yes.
That anybody can see and enjoy. And that's him progressing as a filmmaker. I still get to be individualistic. I still get to like circumvent genre and like expectations, but do it with like energy and fun. Like it really feels like if he's going to do a sequel to Knives Out or whatever he does next, he really has a command over, I'm going to do my thing, but people are going to love it because I know what they want. And it's such exciting to see like a filmmaker who in 5 films has done this.
She's so good as like the femme fatale type. Like
Her tear
God.
coming down.
This moment is cruel.
This is the Daniel Craig scene, the reveal at the end of Knives Out, but like done in the genre of neo-noir of you've come to reap what you sow, lady.
That's why I even said also like in Knives Out case, it's a little bit more Clue meets Agatha Christie. This one is definitely more like a Maltese Falcon, Humphrey Bogart type film. So that's why it plays the way that it does. And goddamn, does it still work? Like every time I watch this, I just feel so enamored and so in love with it. And this is why I kept pushing people when Knives Out was announced. Like, go watch Brick. Go understand. Like he can do this.
I hope Brendan took a nice ice bath after all this.
Me too.
He needs
physical therapy.
He's got a hospital.
therapy.
He needs some
bottle of
codeine.
whiskey.
He needs a big bowl of
massage.
pasta.
Oh,
He needs a big bowl of something, and it ain't pasta.
We always need pasta. But yes, you're
Well,
not
yeah,
wrong.
I mean, carbs are amazing, but so is marijuana.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm not gonna.
Mary Jane?
Watson, yes, correct.
Mary Jane.
Huh.
One more time to kill the pay.
But even so, like on a small technical
Speaking
note,
of Max, thank you for reminding me.
this part that's at the end of the scene of them still talking, you can still see the tear that came down and ruined her makeup on her face. Like whether that was a character choice, whether she did that well as an actress, or whether Rian Johnson was smart enough as a director to be like, you need to maintain that continuity so that we can see that, because in the close-up, that's very distinct of her tears ruining her makeup.
And then the way
fact that
the brain appears from behind his head leaves credence to the theory, because the brain doesn't interact with anyone else, that he's not actually a human being, but has just been a physical manifestation of Brendan's inner workings.
Something that Rian Johnson has not dissuaded, but something that he hasn't confirmed. And I love that.
It totally tracks to me, especially with that shot there.
Where he's gone.
So there it
That
is.
was Brick.
That is Brick. I'm going to start with Evan real quick because he lost his mind for about the last 20 minutes there. Evan, how you feeling? What'd you think of the movie?
Some of this shit is really cool. Like, I mean, like, honestly, like, there's as weird as this sounds, PJ, we talked about this earlier. I actually had a lot of fun with it because it was just filmmaking on screen, and it was that filmmaking where it's not vomiting, but it's like, here's my paintbrush, I'm gonna paint all across it for you. I'm gonna make it obvious, like these ideas and images I want to put into your head, so the audience isn't having to work too hard to understand what Rian Johnson's putting on screen, but they're also able to pick up the pieces for it. It like just being able to be like, oh, this is what they're doing. I enjoy this film a lot more. I'm gonna have to give it a second watch just because we were doing a commentary on it. But
Yeah.
man, oh man, good time.
It is more fun than I like to actually give it credit for, just because I also think it's like very serious. Because again, I think it's very, very much in the vein of like the Humphrey Bogart neo-noir type films from the 40s and 50s, and in that you aren't necessarily having a good time, but I think that it just is so, the filmmaking is next level in a way that it just pops. Like, even again, this was a freshman filmmaker out the gate making this movie, and that's so crazy to me. I'm gonna go to Hogue next. You know, you talked about it a little bit. How are you feeling? You got the brainy glasses on now, so
it gets me into character. It's kind of just astounding to look back at it and knowing it's so nice to be fulfilled by Rian Johnson and to have this kick off the start of the month, because we can look back at a film and be so informed with where he goes and still see how much like he was already established as a filmmaker in this film, and to kind of like use him as a goalpost and like what he represents of his producer Ram Bergman and like Stephen Yedlin as his DP. This is a guy that should be inspiring to all young filmmakers of, you can do it. You just have to like have that perseverance. You just have to like kind of keep going with it. And it really pays off in a way that artistically a lot of films with bigger budgets and bigger stories like can't. And I'm so excited to go forward because each one of his films I have such a different relationship with. Next week, never having seen it, but always appreciated him as a filmmaker, I'm excited. I don't know. This is exactly what I want the first film of an auteur to be. So keep it coming, Ryan.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with any of what you said. And I'm going to be very curious on next week with Brothers Bloom, just because like with Evan, he had never seen this. You've never seen Brothers Bloom. Like they're very different movies, but they're also very Rian Johnson movies for what that's worth. So I'm very excited about that. Taylor, you were part of the reason that we decided to do this month. So how are you feeling coming off Brick now?
I'm feeling great. I definitely want to rewatch this again, but without us doing all the commentary, just so that I can let it soak in, because I love this movie. And as much fun as it is to do commentary about Rian Johnson, like we've said, it's hard also to watch the movie because there's always so much happening with what's being said and what's being shown. And I'm actually just, now that we've started it into Rian Johnson month, I'm so excited because there's so much you can talk about with his films and the way that he tells stories. And I had a great time. It's crazy to me. We've all said it, that this was his first big thing out the gate. And we're all just sitting here going, well, no wonder he's done all of this brilliant stuff since then, because he clearly has the fundamental understanding of how storytelling works and how to make a movie like this. And it just also seems like he has that thing, that unique kind of thing that he can just do it, and it's great, and he's great at it, and he has the passion for it. And this is a great movie to be able to look back on and go, yeah, I think everyone could kind of tell that he was destined for great things. And, there's a reason that we have the king, Rian Johnson, literally in the middle, the centerpiece of our studio, because I insisted that when we were going to put posters up that his had to be right in the middle. So
yeah, I get it.
There's
I
that
get
for
it,
you.
man. No, totally. And again, he kind of reminds me of, in the 90s, we got really inundated with like a bunch of auteurs kind of right around the same time, because Rodriguez came out, Tarantino came out, Smith came out, Richard Linklater came out. Like all these dudes descended at like one time, and the 90s were popping because of it. The 2000s had a lot of good ones too, but like Rian to this day still really stands out, specifically because Brick is so fucking awesome. Like what a great calling card. Max, you were like biting at the bit to be on this. You blew up my messages the moment you saw that we were doing this. You were like, I have to be on Brick. Does it hold up in your estimation? Are you happy you were here?
Peer pressure, kids. Stick to it.
Yeah, I mean this film has had a huge impact on my life as a creative person. As I still do, I always pay attention to the films playing Sundance. I've never had the opportunity to go, but I still like to be aware. And I remember in 2005, when I was reading the program of the films that were playing, the very, very simple logline of a neo-noir set in a high school immediately captured my interest. So from that point forward, I followed the film and became a member of Rian Johnson's message board. And I remember it took over a year, almost a year and a half for it to finally come out. It played Sundance 2005 and then didn't hit theaters until April of 2006, at which point I was in college in Philadelphia. Opening weekend, I hopped on an Amtrak to New York, saw it twice in a row, went back, waited for it to come out to Philly, saw it a couple more times, and it really just blew me away. As I was saying earlier, I found it so inspiring, as other films have, like Clerks is a great example of what you can do when you have the passion, when you have the quality writing, and you just go out there and you make the film. There's nothing stopping you from making the film you want to do other than yourself. Mm-hmm. And I believe that more, especially now more than ever, with the accessibility of technology. You can literally make a feature film with this. You could buy a couple lenses for a couple $100, download the Filmic Pro app. The film absolutely holds up. It's so intoxicating, beautifully shot. The score is incredible. And as we talked about a lot, it's one of those films where it really is a signpost for all the different unique ways Rian's career has evolved. And I'll just put it out there now. I'm happy to join for any of the other Rian Johnson month films.
Well, I've got plenty of spots open for Brothers Bloom and any other ones that you would like to be on, my friends. So we'll make it happen. Don't worry. I like having you here. Jacob, I know Australia is backwards and you didn't get this movie until 6 months ago. So what did you think of it?
Sadly, that is true. I saw this again. Look, I saw this about a decade ago because of Looper. I wanted to find out more about Looper and the director who was doing this weird and unique looking film called Looper that was coming out. And the film has definitely improved over different viewings. I've seen it about 4 or 5 times now, and every time it's just gotten better and better for me. And you pick up on little things, little moments that you're not quite prepared for that hit you slightly different. And I think this is a great film. I am so excited to do the rest of this month. I'm curious about how I will hold up with Brothers Bloom. Yeah. Because the first time I saw it, I didn't love it. So I'll be very curious to see what happens the next time I see it. But other than that, thank you so much for having me on here, and I'm really excited.
Well, it's always my pleasure. I always like having you guys here. It's always a lot of fun. And again, I mean, you guys were part of the reason that we spurred a theme month, because you were the one who was like, hey, there's 5 Fridays in May. Rian Johnson has 5 movies. The math adds up. And I was like, fuck, you're right. That's not bad.
And then I went, oh my God, this might actually happen because the math adds up.
Yeah, the math added. It was that, or somehow I was going to push through. We did all the Ip Man films, including the spinoff. And I was like, I feel like people aren't going to want to read subtitles while we do a commentary. Like, it's not going to happen. So, I tried, and here we are. But I'm glad we did.
We're so doing Old Boy at one point. I really want to fuck with everybody, and we have to watch Old Boy.
We're doing Ip Man eventually.
Old Boy.
I'm telling you.
All right.
Anyway, so I'm really glad that you guys were here. I really am glad that we got to do it, and I'm really glad that out the gate, our very first watch along for May could go to such a great cause. On top of it, with the Streamlabs, I have to say we made $235 tonight that we're going to be able to give to a very good cause. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching, and also donating.
We're going to name drop those people too really fast, just because they deserve another special shout out. Shout to Suge Knight. 323.
Suge Knight.
I don't see an H there. Whatever. They got it. We appreciate you. Shout out to Michael K with the big boy donation. I'm sure Craig's going to really appreciate that. Man, oh man, K, you're always coming through. Hearts out to you. You're fucking fantastic. Also, we had one other one before we get to our special guest. How am I? Oh, the Bard, $50, fucking insane. And then the man on our panel who tried to take the attention away from himself. I'm gonna do it again, Max. Like, oh my god, dude!
Thank you, Max.
You're always pulling through, and we love you to death. Don't forget it.
Round of applause.
Yeah, and you guys will see Maxwell here a lot more. He's going to be on a lot of stuff we have going on, and he doesn't have to do this, and yet he does because he's an amazing individual. He's one of my best friends in the entire world. I don't know what I would do without him. He's been through so much with me over the last 3 years that it fucking is astounding to me, and I love him very dearly. So if you don't already follow him on Twitter, you really should. Number one, he's the best, and we love him.
All right, so with that, I think we're gonna start knocking people out of here. Hogue, where can good people find you?
Oh, the usual. Follow me at Pat the Canadian on. I will get the right hand at some point on Instagram. I don't have the same handle for all my stuff, but Twitter is Hogue_filmmaker. And check out my Vimeo, Patrick Hogue. I am an aspiring filmmaker. I have a lot of shorts on there.
So what? So what?
My latest film, is on Crypt TV. They're a big YouTube horror channel.
It's dope.
I appreciate all the kind words from Max and everybody. I have
so cool, dude.
Hopefully some big news to announce soon, but I can't get too preemptive with it yet. But
You're gonna be on Saturday Night Live?
Yes, Max. I didn't want to announce it so soon, but gosh dang it, yes, I am.
Man, the
Don
at-home
Krasinski.
specials. That at-home special will just get anyone off the street now.
PJ, you know I love to be here for your adoration and comfort and support, but so is rapidly coming towards 200,000 views on Crypt TV. Go check it out. Check out my stuff. And Rian Johnson, can't wait for the rest of his films. Guys, I love you all. Thank you.
Also, catch him Tuesday. Famous last words. Goodbye, Pat.
That's right. I'm getting interviewed by this guy. Who knows? What does he have to? What are we going to talk about? Anything? Nothing.
Anyways, to the people right above me, you guys are doing some really cool content recently. A nice little upgrade in graphics as well. Shit's looking like you guys are moving on all gears. Where do you think good kids find you?
So you guys can find us over at Finally Tailored YouTube channel, where we have a lot of new content coming up. We've got our regular scheduled 10 years on show that is our retrospective on all the films that opened 10 years ago today. Next Friday night, 3 hours. I need to work out the time. 4 p.m. Eastern. I am going to be playing Spider-Man live on the channel. So if you want to check out and do that and hang out with us, then that would be awesome. And on Saturday next week at 7 p.m. we are doing our scores. Let's get in. Let's go lose. Oh, I never pronounced this correctly.
Get in, losers. We're doing movie brackets. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Come on, Jacob.
We're doing movie brackets, and next week we're going to be focused on scores.
Yes,
so
scores not done by John Williams.
Anyone but John Williams, basically, is that bracket. But check out Finally Tailored on YouTube. I'm slowly going through and updating all of our thumbnails and having a blast doing it. It's been a lot of fun. We're bringing a lot of new content that I'm excited for. You can find me pretty much anywhere else at Finally Tailored on everything. So if you want to check me out there, that works too. And this is Jacob Blunden, and his stuff is at Jacob Blunden.
Yes.
Like I said, they're kicking ass. Make sure you guys check them out in there too. My really good friends in this space.
Okay, bye.
I made you one of the last ones because I want to put a spotlight on you again. Another fucking $50, Max. Where can the good kids find you?
Find me on Twitter here at Cinemax.
There you go. Good job.
My Instagram is at Cinemaxwell Inc. I will be back on the PJ Campbell Network Sunday night talking about top 10 Disney parks rides with both of these fine fellows up here. Evan DeGraff, PJ Campbell, Evan DeGraff, PJ Campbell, Evan DeGraff,
so excited.
PJ Campbell. Yeah. I have a couple of other podcasts in the work that I'm not ready to announce just yet, but stay tuned if you like hearing me talk about things.
Hey there.
And that's about it. Thanks, guys.
Of course, my pleasure. We look forward to having you on Sunday, my friend.
So, Pat, it was the first day of Rian Johnson month, and I accidentally forgot something, and I feel awful. We have to play a clip because Suddenly Soundtracks had a little bit of a misrelease. And so we're out here to promote it. Myself and Rachel Stevashini joined Chris Clark and Mary Poppins. So we're gonna roll this clip right now. So like the song is definitely a staple of society, and like it's so hard not to dance to because it's da 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 da, and it keeps getting faster and faster and faster. It does a really good job of speeding up the tempo while it's not getting like out of control. And because of that perfect balance, it's easily rocking. Like, how do you not want to sing that song over and over again? The word in itself also is just so much fun. Easy rocking, easy.
Like I agree with you. There are 3 songs from this soundtrack. Yeah, I think that that people will always that they will be at least in their top 20 of Disney songs of all times. Spoonful of Sugar, and then Super Cal. This song, I remember being little and watching this and being like, "Mom, she made up a word," and my mom was like, "All words are made up," and I'm like, "Oh. Really?" It blew my mind.
Yeah, I knew that.
Expialidocious, supercalifragilistic.
Okay, well, we're just gonna mute him.
Anyway,
I knew that we were gonna have to show that clip. It was just we couldn't pause the movie to do it, so that was one of those things.
Well, we also got a little nervous because a certain director had to retweet this stream, and we our game got thrown off. However,
really, I want to say real quick, if any of you found this stream because Ryan actually retweeted it today. Thank you for joining us. Legitimately, thank you. It definitely, we didn't know, and then I saw it, and we all kind of melted down about 10 minutes before this started, and it was a lot of fun. But I'm glad that it happened, and I'm glad that people might have found it, and I hope that if you did, and it was your first time here, that you'll come back and you subscribe to the channel, because we liked having you, and it was a lot of fun.
So, Pat, another thing that I forgot to announce, because I didn't know the details, Mummy returns.
Yep. With Stacey Howard.
Returns.
Yes, and we're going to be me, myself, Frankie Numbers of the Schmodown Rundown, and Stacey Howard are going to be talking about The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. We took a week off this week. Obviously, I had some stuff going on in my personal life that didn't feel like really necessarily doing the episode. So we're going to be back this week. We're going to be talking 2 of my favorite pulp adventure films of all time, and I cannot wait to talk about them.
And then during the stream, yes, I was texting during the stream. I was communicating with the one and the only John Kaiser. I'm glad I reminded him that he's on tomorrow because he's like, "Oh, what time is it at?" He's like, "What time is it at?" I'm like, "It's at this time." And he goes, "Okay, just make sure you text me an hour beforehand." But he's gonna be on. Dickie Do himself, very excited. And then last but not least, just all of our past content. Make sure you guys look at it. Rocky Horror, the Suddenly soundtrack of Rocky Horror.
Young Guns 2 was on here. Famous Last Words, Evan did with Abby Friel. There was a bunch of stuff this week. If you guys get a chance, go check it out. Of course, the PJ Campbell Show had our episode on Sunday night where we were kind of talking about the future of what's going on right now. There's just a lot happening, but we really appreciate you guys being here. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at PJ_Campbell and find me here pretty much every night doing content with these fine people. You can find Evan at Evan Degraff Live. You can see it right on there. He hangs out with me. He's good people. And we will see you guys tomorrow night for Family Game Night. And then next Friday, don't forget, Rian Johnson month continues with the Brothers Bloom. It is going to be a lot of fun, and we look forward to seeing you guys. Have a great night, everyone.
I want to be so long. Farewell to you, my friend. Goodbye for now until we meet again. I said so long. Farewell to you, my friend. Goodbye for now until we meet again. Oh, it's been great to play and sing together in the box, and now it's time to say goodbye. Ooh, so long, farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye, oh, for now, until we meet again. Goodbye, for now, until we meet again.